in your trunk. This will help you
of your home is best, but with blizzard conditions also comes increased chances of widespread power outages. Baltimore Gas and Electric says you may want to check the batteries in portable radios and flashlights. They also feel it's important to have bottled water, canned and dried food on hand, and a battery-operated clock. BG&E also reminds you to fill buckets, bathtubs, and sinks with water. You are urged to never leave a fireplace unattended. You're also encouraged to avoid using candles for lighting. And don't forget, in the event of a power outage, the snow out your back door will also help to keep your food cold. You may want to write down the number to call BG&E during a power outage. It's 685-0123. Once again, 685-0123.
Well, we have cancellations to report even before the first flakes have fallen. The Baltimore County Youth Retreat scheduled to begin tonight and run through tomorrow at
across Georgia, South Carolina. Looks as though it's going to be centered by tomorrow evening at this time, right over the central or lower Chesapeake Bay. Now see these isobars showing the flow around it? What will happen is that we're going to have the winds combined from the storm and around this high pressure system that is going to drive the winds in from the east. So the winds at Ocean City and Bethany and even here in the district are going to come screaming from the northeast and then due east, piling all the water up on the coast. And as this storm gets cranking, it's going to pull in all this moisture and then pull down all the cold air. It's a classic combination that will yield, frankly, a blizzard. And that's what it looks like from all indications we're going to have. And it's going to start just a little bit later tonight. We'll continue to keep you updated from the Weather Center and give you the very latest watches and warnings. Mike and Andrea.
All right, thank you, Doug. Many area jurisdictions have already canceled weekend activities. In Virginia, all fair.
Well, tonight and tomorrow, as far as warnings go, once again, we are under a blizzard warning here in the Washington area and for BWI, the city of Baltimore, for late tonight and tomorrow. Then along the coast, that turns into a winter storm warning with coastal flood warnings and also high wind warnings as you get down toward the Delmarva. Winds tomorrow will easily be in excess of 50 miles per hour, perhaps even as high as 70. It is a very serious situation, especially along the coast. For us tomorrow, we're looking at the possibility of somewhere near a foot right here in Washington. As you go north into Maryland, more. As you go west, even more than that, 1 to 2 feet of snow. As you get into the gray areas over here, we're looking at 4 to 6 inches, and especially down toward the south and east into extreme southern Delaware, and as you go down toward the Delmarva. And yes, it does look like there will be a little bit of snow on the sand tomorrow before this changes over. Here are some, some additional information for you. The light snow should start very late tonight, 1 to 3 inches by dawn. Heavy snow will start after sunrise. This snow will cause, the high winds rather, will cause drifting of the snow, and it looks like travel will, by afternoon anyway, become very, very dangerous, if not all out impossible. So my advice would be not to travel, because tomorrow, the snow will be falling at the rate of 2 to 3 inches per hour, but that's not where it ends. The winds will be kicking this up to over 50.
Talk about, so we'll jump right into it, give you the high temperatures from today. Got warmer than we thought today. That may be one ominous sign here. Let's hope not. High temperatures reached the mid-40s because we had sunshine early on, but we've clouded up since then, and the chill is about to move on in. Lowest readings this morning in the 20s. Outside right now with the cloud cover, we are holding at 38 degrees here at the Forecast Center. The Custom House downtown at 40 degrees, and at BWI it's 39 degrees. But the relative humidity is pretty dry, just 42%, so the first snow that comes in will cool the air. Winds are out of the southeast, and the barometer is holding steady. There it is, the calm before the storm across the great city of Baltimore. Let's check it out then. The radar now going up and down the eastern seaboard. Snow just to our south. This stuff across Virginia, most of it is evaporating before it reaches the ground, but they are reporting snow falling now in Roanoke. Snow also in Asheville, North Carolina, and the northern parts of Alabama and Mississippi. So this is where the system's coming from. It's rain south of this line in Charlotte and Atlanta. We're going to be on the cold side of this system as it moves on in. So west of the bay, the Baltimore area, back into the mountains, a blizzard warning for tomorrow. Winter storm warning on the eastern shore, high wind warning for the eastern shore. Everybody's going to be buffeted by 30 to 40 mile an hour sustained winds. By tomorrow evening, the center of the storm will be approaching the lower eastern shore. So everybody north and east of it really is going to get into a mixture of precipitation. So we think 3 to 6 inches on the eastern shore by the evening tomorrow. West of the bay up to a foot, and west of Westminster better than a foot probably by Saturday evening. This isn't all, though. The storm coming in will push a lot of water into the bay and onto the coast. So gale warnings on the bay, storm warning at the coast. This is pretty much almost a hurricane, really, when you talk about it that way. Tides are going to be going 3 to 5 feet above normal. For everybody who has property along the bay, this includes you. Your tides over the next few days will be 3 to 5 feet above normal. Critical high tide at Ocean City around midday tomorrow, and much the same for the 1 foot to 1.5 feet of snow, maybe on the ground in Baltimore, with perhaps 2 feet from Westminster back into the mountains. The forecast then, that about says it all. A blizzard warning for tomorrow, 3 to 6 inches by daybreak, temperatures upper 20s to low 30s. Tomorrow the snow will be heavy, could mix with sleet or rain on the eastern shore, mid 30s, so a wet snow to start. The rest of the 5-day forecast, the snow ends Sunday, but it'll still be windy, dry on Monday and Tuesday, and perhaps some rain, and 53 degrees by next Wednesday, which seems like so far away. Rod?
It's going to be of the winter variety, and a lot of snow is in fact on tap. And if the storm continues to intensify the way it's looking, we could even get more snow than what we're actually forecasting. So let me go ahead, show you the rhyme and reason for it. Tonight, cloudy skies, snow moving into the region, probably 9 o'clock or so on the breezy side. 26 for the overnight low. Tomorrow, heavy snow, high winds. The high tomorrow, 32 degrees outside right now in Baltimore. Things have started to cool off a little bit, down to 39. Humidity right now at 43%. Wind coming to us from the southeast at 10 miles an hour, and the pressure 30.20. Tides tomorrow at Fort McHenry, and that could be a problem because that's about the time that the major thrust of the storm is moving through the Maryland area. High tide at 10:57 tomorrow morning, just before 11 o'clock in the morning, could pose some real problems over on Maryland's eastern shore. The winds tomorrow from the northwest, 30 to 40 miles an hour, gusting to about 60, I'm sorry, northeast, not northwest, northeast, 30 to 40 miles an hour, gusting to about 60 miles an hour. Now, here's what's going to be happening as we take a look at our satellite picture. What we're finding is quite a bit of shower and thunderstorm activity down to the south, and that is a reason that the National Weather Service has issued a blizzard warning for the entire News Channel 2 viewing area for tonight, tomorrow, and tomorrow night. The shower and thunderstorm activity is all associated with an area of low pressure down to the south, rotating counterclockwise, moving on towards the east. As you look at this, it doesn't look very impressive. Where it is impressive is in the upper atmosphere. The highest clouds are really starting to build in the system. So you say that particular picture doesn't look very impressive. Let me show you something impressive. We're going to highlight the high clouds in that particular system. There it is right there. That's the major thrust of the storm. Extremely powerful. Very seldom do we see those colors popping up on the satellite picture. As the whole system makes its way to the Carolinas, it's going to intensify even further and pull a lot of moisture back from the Atlantic in over the top of the Maryland, Virginia region. For tomorrow, what we're going to be seeing is the major thrust of the precipitation right around the Chesapeake Bay. Right now, the precipitation, or earlier this afternoon, the precipitation was making its way in from the south and east. What we're seeing is precip right now in the upper atmosphere, not really reaching the ground yet, but it will be shortly as thunderstorm activity here in the Baltimore area. So again, the forecast for tonight, cloudy skies, snow moving in 9 o'clock or so. On the breezy side, 26 for the overnight low. Tomorrow, heavy snow with high winds. The high tomorrow only reaching 32 degrees. The extended outlook for the next 5 days indicates that the snow is going to continue through tomorrow, through Sunday with very high winds. Things will clear up on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. How much snow? 14 to 18 inches, and if the storm intensifies, we could get even more. We'll keep you updated right here on News Channel 2 throughout tonight and throughout tomorrow. Stan?
All right, Norm, thank you.
At 7:30. Got about 6 inches on the ground. It's still coming. Calling for whiteouts today. Wind's blowing real hard out of the east. Doesn't even want to go out. Blowing hard.
Hit by the stupid lamppost.
March of 52, also set later that year in June of 52, but an 80-mile-an-hour wind gust isn't out of the realm of possibility here as the storm starts to pull away and we get on the cold west side of it. Late tonight, tomorrow morning, that's when the highest winds will be. We may have just passed an ominous mark in this storm. Our wind gauge on top of the roof here, our anemometer, had kind of gotten clogged up with the first real slushy snow that started falling last night. And I just turned around to check it, and there's the possibility you were talking earlier that this afternoon, in some areas, it could change over to rain for a bit, right? Right. In fact, we're seeing that happen now, Rob, as we speak down around the Patuxent Naval Air Station where the radar site is, and also down at Salisbury on the Lower Eastern Shore around the Ocean City area, starting to change over to rain. And we think that rain-snow line is going to make its way to the north and east, so it'll approach the Baltimore area, and I'm pretty sure we're going to see some mixed precipitation here by about midday or so. That will cut down the accumulations, but before that happens, I mean, we could have a foot on the ground by the time that happens. And then when the cold air comes back in, it'll change back to snow with further accumulations tonight.
Tom, you were saying earlier, of all times, this is a city that does...
Police cars were stranded.
Of control, too. Merchant shelves were cleaned out. Some armed themselves. An idea that, incredibly, was not discouraged by the city's state's attorney at that time, Bill Swisher.
So you must teach a lesson, and the only way to do it, frankly, is with jail and also with shooting people.
Thankfully, jail did the trick. As the looters were rounded up, the rest of the city's residents peacefully dug out. Then came 1983, the weekend of Valentine's Day. But Mother Nature wasn't sending us any love. Instead, we were dumped with 23 inches of snow. Buses couldn't move, airplanes couldn't fly. Even dogs had a tough time. But the kids couldn't have been happier. And while the rest of us hated all that shoveling, at least we learned a little trick that might come in handy now. If your car and parking space ends up like this, just remember, you clear it, you keep it. Jane Miller, WBAL TV 11 News.
It's 10 years ago. When TV 11 News continues, we'll check back in with Rob Roblin, the latest on the storm conditions. Stay with us.
Well, put simply, blizzard warning today. Strong winds, still snowing out there, 5 inches on the ground here in TV Hill. Let's take a look at the 5-day forecast. And the reason we want to look at the 5-day forecast is, yeah, I know it's tough today and tomorrow, but there's better weather coming. Definitely. It's going to take a while. Once again, before this whole storm is out of here, 12 to 18 inches of snow for many of us. Western portion of the state, 24 to 36 inches of snow. Windy and very, very cold tonight and tomorrow. And by Monday, beginning to get a little bit better, and by the latter part of the week, actually a high temperature by the latter part of the week of around 53. But some hazardous weather out there today, tonight, and tomorrow.
Okay, we'll make it through together. That's it for this.
I don't think he wants to be out here. Shoot, boy, is that wind blowing hard. Come on, boy. Come on. Come on. Whew, golly days. Unreal. They're calling for 18 to 24 inches, 60 to 80 mile-an-hour winds. This is Saturday right now. There's somebody down there trying to dig out. Oh, it's Heidi. Drifting up between the van and the truck. This is only about 8 or 9 inches right now. They're saying we're getting an inch an hour.
my friends who are, I think eventual damn 8 or 9:33. Seriously, you, late night, how long have you been up this morning? Been up about an hour. Okay, I understand we've got some heavy-duty conditions. I'm sure 95 is not the greatest condition, but for those of you who give it more condition, raised with the strain of Annapolis, and still going to give it a shot. And if not, we'll get snowed in here. Well, I play. That number for the Blizzard of 93 after these messages. I'm talented.
Rising. So far, we're getting gusts about 40 to maybe, I'd say, 45 miles per hour. The concern is that the winds could get a lot higher than that, maybe up to 50 or 60
Not
miles
much snow
per hour.
there.
If that happens about noon, that could cause some very serious problems, as we're going to have a high tide then. I don't know, you probably can't see right now, but the water is already approaching the protected sand dunes. When that tide comes up, the water can very well come up over those dunes. We are, of course, continuing to monitor this situation, and we'll have a complete report tonight at 6:30.
It's coming from the east.
I want to tell you something. This is, you know, we talked about this earlier. These winds. I'm trying not to sit here and get with what some people who type for newspapers and have 20/20 hindsight call. You know, they panicked the city. But these winds, I'm telling you, are going to be a major, major problem this afternoon. Look, we know it's snowing. I mean, duh. We're going to have a blizzard out in Western Maryland. We got a lot of snow here. Luckily, it's Saturday.
Around 7 or 8 o'clock this morning.
Both of the runways this morning, and that was basically because of the accumulation of snow. And later on, they decided to open one of the runways. As it stands right now, one runway is open, but the situation is so bad right now with the gusting winds and the snow and everything that none of the flights are able to take off. We do understand, again, that some of the airlines have canceled their flights for the rest of the day. Others have canceled their flights through 6 o'clock, some through 4 o'clock this afternoon. Again, the bottom line, call your airlines if you're hoping to get out of here tonight. Amtrak, again, basically has some problems right now. Any of the trips that may last longer than an hour will probably be canceled because of this nasty weather. Again, pick up the phone and give them a phone call, and they can basically... Bad news coming just a few minutes ago. BWI has shut down because of the nasty weather conditions. A lot of people hoping to get out of town to visit relatives, and we have students here from the university. That won't happen today. It's been a very, very long day here, and it looks like people are going to have to use some patience. Right now, we understand that nothing will happen here at BWI. The airport has been shut down. The blizzard of 93 definitely flexing its muscle right now. Richard, back to you.
All right, Greg, thank you very much, and we'll check back with you at BWI Airport in just...
It rips up a boardwalk, and you guys know how strong that boardwalk is down there, and to see it break up like a toothpick, we were... The lights, it took everything. We took shelter. So me and the photographer went in there, we stayed there. And I tell you the truth, I was more scared of the situation was when Bergschneider and I, my photographer Bob Bergschneider,
Lone Ranger here, but I am having a lot of fun. I mean fun with a capital F. Never mind how my expression on my face looks and how my voice is way out of range, but I'm having a whole lot of fun. You know why? Because it reminds me of my childhood growing up when we used to go through all this stuff down home in Miami, Florida. I'm serious, Marty. We used to go through this stuff every time we opened up the refrigerator, opened up the freezer, pulled that stuff out while we were listening to how people up here were going through changes with the weather, and we'd stand there and stare at that stuff.
Stan, have you ever gotten used to this type of weather? You are from Miami. I mean, let's face it, you grew up. When was the first time you actually saw snow?
When I was 25 years old in Durham, North Carolina.
That was 35 years ago. Gotcha.
Thanks, I appreciate that. Hey, listen, one of our family members over here, Paul Wilkinson, engineering supervisor, helping clearing up the streets here with the old WJZ snowplow. Hey, Paul, what's it like out here? Tell him.
It's treacherous. If you don't have to go out, stay home.
I mean, not long ago, these roads were clear. Then a few minutes later, you couldn't even see the blacktop anymore.
Exactly. It's very tough to plow because you can't tell where the curbs are.
So, words of advice, again, stay out of this.
Exactly. I'm getting out of it.
See you later. Hey, Marty, that says it.
And listen, inform him. If he blows the transmission out of the truck again trying to plow the hill, it's not in the...
you. I've got good news and bad news for you.
And Richard Scher.
All right, we're back. Marty's outside. Apparently the changeover is happening right now. Harder, must be turning to ice or sleet. And Marty will be back in just a moment. If you weren't here a little bit earlier, he locked himself out, which was very embarrassing. And in any case, we have a call from, let's see, Melanie Cooper's 7th birthday.
ID card did not allow me admittance into the building. Mr. Goodman, I think you should put somebody on report. 10 inches of snow, and it is now sleeting, ferociously sleeting, here on TV Hill. No lie, the winds have really kicked up right now, and it's driving this sleet horizontal. We're starting to get into a very rough period of this storm, so I would strongly suggest that you hold your position and only.
Central South Carolina, believe it or not, is still that far away. Barometer readings 28.60. It's like a hurricane in the winter. And we've had around 8 or 9 inches of snow here in the Baltimore City area so far, a little more to the west. What we're seeing is a changeover to sleet and rain now occurring around parts of Chesapeake Bay area and the Washington, D.C. area. And during the next 1 to 2 hours, we're going to gradually see less snow and more sleet and then finally rain in the immediate area around the city of Baltimore. And that will keep the total accumulations to around 8 or 9, maybe 10 inches in the city, with less to the east and more to the west. As you go further out north and west, the snowfall totals will increase progressively. And once you're out in Frederick County, we're not sure the rain will ever reach those areas, and they may have 2 feet of snow by this evening.
Go ahead, Rich.
I was going to ask you about the winds. Marty's been talking about these strong winds, and Ocean City was experiencing terribly gusty winds. What can we expect in terms of winds, and when do you think that would start, and how long a period of time would we have to endure those, do you think, Steve?
Well, the very strong winds will begin at any time now. We just had a report of a wind gust to 70 miles per hour in the District of Columbia during the last 20 minutes. And the strong winds are moving northward. We have some reports it's quite amazing, 2,000 or 3,000 feet overhead. The winds are blowing right now at hurricane force over Baltimore. And let's hope mostly they stay up there. But occasionally, with strong winds like that, there will be a heavy gust that will come down to the ground, especially in higher elevations in the hills. And we do look for wind gusts of 60 or 70 miles per hour possible anytime this afternoon or early this evening. And then once the center of the storm moves north of us later this evening, the winds will turn around. They're coming from the east now. They'll come from the northwest later tonight and tomorrow. And again, there can be gusts to 60 or 70 miles per hour late tonight. And incidentally, I should point out that when we get this changeover to rain this afternoon, we'll have a windswept rain into this evening, and then a changeover back to snow late this evening around 10 or 11 o'clock. And we may get a few more inches of snow in the late part of the night, along with falling temperatures and a freeze-up. So this storm has many a storm, but despite that, there still can be some tidal flooding, some serious beach erosion on the coast, and that'll be a problem through this evening. And then again, once the storm center gets north of us, after 8 or 9 o'clock this evening, the winds will shift to the west and tend to blow that water back out to sea, and we'll have no more concerns about tidal problems from midnight on.
Well, we could be lucking out. Steve, listen, thanks a lot for joining us with this.
Boy, that wind is really blowing now, isn't it? Brandon?
Coloring.
Just coloring?
Yep.
Why don't you go outside and play?
No, what? Daddy! Was that one?
Yeah, it's on right now. Just showing what you're doing on a snowy day.
Me?
Why? I'm going to show what you're doing on a snowy day. Getting ready to play Monopoly?
I'm sewing. That's all I can do.
Quasar, say hi! Say hi! No,
Going to fall. Let's take a look at the satellite loop, and you can see this storm is starting.
And it's got that Gulf of Mexico moisture, lots of it. And as it comes towards us, it does not weaken. it gets stronger, and you can see the eye of the storm looking very similar to a hurricane.
Changed to sleet now. You can hear it hitting against the door. It's frozen on the door right now. Wow, I can't hardly hold the door open. Later on.
Why did you park the cars down there?
So they won't have to shovel so much to get them out.
So I'm...
It's pretty wild. It's amazing. I've never seen it this way before. It's pretty dramatic, I'll tell you. Unbelievable. Terrible. You never realize how ferocious the ocean is until you've been right here.
I want to see this awesome water rolling over this beach. This is something I've never seen. This is terrific, I tell you. Not terrific, but I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Now, as I stand here a very, very safe distance away from the ocean here, I can safely tell you that I do not recommend that you go out to the inlet to view that high tide, because it is just really nasty out here. I mean, the rain, the wind is just getting incredible, and we're wondering what kind of damage we're going to see. Rehoboth Beach reported to me not too long ago that the water is now under the boardwalk, and that is not good news over there, because that can mean damage. We're going to sign off here with one last picture for you, and it's right here in this hotel room, and this is causing some people a lot of problems. We have got water coming right in on the carpet, and in some of these rooms it's coming right into the room itself, and that's bad news, because some of these people are having to be relocated to much higher ground. So we're going to try to hang in there. You can see how wet I'm getting just in the few minutes I've been standing out here talking to you. But we'll be back in a few more minutes with another update, and of course, more information on the storm, its aftermath, its intent.
As we continue covering the blizzard of '93. Mother Nature is doing her best to batter most parts of the state today. No matter where you go, you'll find yourself in the middle of what could turn out to be the worst blizzard in the state's history. Let's begin our coverage this half hour with Frank Graff now, live in Cockeysville, to see how conditions are out there. Frank?
Yeah, the wind is gusting and everything. That's why we were shaking around when you tossed to us here, Dave. It's getting a lot worse out here. It is sleeting now, and I said that it's getting colder. The wind is kicking up. The roads, Baltimore County has done a magnificent job trying to clear the roads as best they can. Main roads are passable. Side road over here, you can see, hello there, one person happy to be out in it. Side road is not quite as clear, but is a little better. Snowplows have been coming around. Despite all that, though, do not go out. It is nasty out here. Rundown of all the counties in the Baltimore metropolitan area. All are in phase 1 of snow emergency plans except Baltimore City. About a half hour ago at noon, they went into phase 2.
As a matter of fact, you may have seen his live reports last night. He's been with us since very early this morning. Frank, what's the situation there? You still look as wet as you did.
I'm still alive. I dry off. In Ocean City is the shoreline. It looks like we're going to see a lot of major beach erosion here this season again. Look over there in the distance. That's looking down about to 17th Street. And there is just all kinds of sand all over the boardwalk. I'm not sure if that's from waves crashing over the seawall. I didn't exactly see any of that. Or just the sand creeping in between the cracks on the boardwalk. Either way, the story here is major beach erosion and possible major damage once the winds really start to swirl up once again. We were told around 50 miles per hour was the highest recorded wind gusts, and those are really approaching hurricane force winds. Let's take a look at some of the video that we've been showing you during the day, some of it on the streets of Ocean City and some of it around the inlet, a place where a lot of people like to go and view the waves come crashing over the jetty. Not a safe place to be, though. One minute you're standing on the rocks, the next minute a wave hits you, and you could be in that quagmire of water there. Those are some of the people that are either crazy or brave enough to come out there and take some pictures. This is driving along the major drag through Ocean City, some flooding on the roads. That's natural when we have heavy rains. but also a lot of wind, and possibly we're going to see some wind damage because the winds aren't getting any better. You see the trees moving around a lot there, and of course the stoplights probably not functioning in all places around here. We're also told that there's some power failures in some homes and some apartments. That's causing some problems. People are moving out of their homes. If you want to evacuate, you don't have to. There's no forced evacuations going on. There is a shelter set up at 125th Street, and there's also another shelter set up at Stephen Decatur High School, and that's in Berlin. As far as Delaware, and the situation may even be more severe in Delaware because the water, I'm told, is crashing under the boardwalk, and that's not good news. There is a shelter set up at Cape Henlopen. Right now, though, no forced evacuations. The best advice I can tell you if you're out here is don't do this and stand out here in the cold because you're going to get wet and it's going to get cold, and it can be
12 inches of snow on the ground around the Owings Mills area, Manchester, Maryland, Northern County Cooperative Weather Observatory reported a wind gust there of 69 miles an hour, and that's what at 11 a.m. And that's in Carroll County. So we here at the television station have had wind gusts of 43 miles per hour, and you've seen from the live shots that that really is becoming the problem right now. We're getting sleet in the region now. Right. It's sleet, but it will change back over to snow.
Yeah, don't be deceived.
So don't be deceived that we're not going to get any more snow, because it will change back over to snow this afternoon and this evening. And once again, the real hazardous part of this storm is going to be coming late this afternoon, tonight, and tomorrow morning with a very, very, very strong winds. And as we have heard here, thunder, and there is lightning outside. Yeah, so
along with
get ready
the snow
for
and
the and sleet and strong winds and everything else. But I'll talk in complete detail about it in a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Rob. The more snow we get, the more cash has to come out of the snow removal budgets. Baltimore City has one. All the counties have one as well. The problem is we've gotten so much snow this winter already that we're in danger of getting in too deep to dig ourselves out, financially, that is. Mayor Schmoke, however, says there should be enough in the budget to cover this one.
We are spending about $11,000 an hour, and that will be reduced a little bit later on as we let people go home, but we have to call some folks back. But we have the budget, we budgeted for this, and we're not going to worry about the expense of that. We'll worry about public safety and keeping these roads clear right now.
Baltimore County is facing the same money crunch. Officials say they're down to their last $150,000 there, but that should accommodate the getting rid of this snowfall. Joining us now on the TV 11 news line is Dr. Neil Solomon with some tips here very quickly on the new news on concerns that he has about how we and our bodies are dealing with the snow. Doctor, appreciate you joining us again. What if you had one piece of advice, one major piece to pass along to folks, what would it be?
It would be stay inside if possible. That's the safest place to be. The 11 tips are, secondly, drink at least 2 quarts of warm fluid a day, because that produces heat, and you need that. Don't abuse drugs or alcohol, because that causes an increase of heat loss and decreases heat production. Move around, because that increases your circulation. Keep warm, layered, dry, loosely fitting clothes on. If you're outside, keep gloves and socks dry, prevent frostbite. Keep your head and face covered, because 30% of your heat is lost from your head and your face. If you're over 65 years or a diabetic, or there's an infant in the house, keep the thermostat set at least at 60 degrees, because that will prevent accidental hypothermia. Positive thinking, and last, snuggle up with a warm companion.
I like your advice, Doctor. I like your tone of voice there. Thank you. Dr. Neil Solomon with some advice on weathering this storm, so to speak. When we come back, we'll get an updated look at the forecast from our man at the maps, Rob Roblin. Stay with us.
Heritage Auto Park. More cars, more trucks, more great deals.
We came here, we didn't have any hassles.
And I'm totally happy with Heritage and with my car.
They had a great selection, they had a great price, and they had what we wanted right here on the lot.
I came back to Heritage because they treated me the best.
I've always been very pleased with the service.
I had to buy the car.
The best selection, the best price.
Heritage Auto Park. We make you feel so good. Reisterstown Road, Owings Mills.
Hi, I'm Jim Palmer for the Money Store with a message for homeowners during the tax season. Until April 15th, the Money Store has a special rebate offer. On all new home equity loans, the Money Store will give you a check equal to 1 month's payment, regardless of the size of your loan. So call now for the home equity loan, which comes with a 1-month rebate. But remember, your application must be received by April 15th to qualify. Only at the Money Store at 1-800-LOAN-YES. That's 1-800-LOAN-YES.
News at noon, 7 days a week, only from WVAL TV 11 News, your 24-hour news service.
Attention, Baltimore County residents.
Just a few short hours ago, the lanes called for cable TV. Now here we are. And thanks to Comcast's incredible instant install special, you too can get cable TV installed in your home within 24 hours for just $10. Just $10 connects you to great channels like HBO, CNN, USA, Nickelodeon, and more.
Order now and get installed for just $10. Plus, get 2 premium channels for the price of 1 for 1 month. Operators are on duty this weekend. Call 252-1000 now.
Experience your world. Experience your community. Experience in action. There's only one place you can find this kind of experience.
Hello, everybody. I'm Carroll Costello.
And I'm Rod Daniels. TV 11 News at 6 and the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather.
And that's part of our world tonight.
Weeknights on TV 11 for the experience.
This you'll recognize as the scene at many grocery stores in our area last night, one that happens every time there's mention of snow. People coming in droves to stock up before the snow hits. They bought everything, mostly milk, bread, eggs, and toilet tissue, of course. At one point, lines at this giant store at the Rotunda stretched back to the back of the store. Let's take a quick look at how the trains and buses, the public transportation, is moving at this hour. The MTA's Diana Rossborough is on the live line. Diana?
Good afternoon again, Dave. As the word we keep hearing all morning is that it's nasty out, and I'd have to say that's true as far as our operations, our operators are concerned, that it is nasty out. We, as of noon, went into our snow emergency red phase, which is basically our snow emergency plans that we're now implementing. We are operating on about 40 bus lines, and just the major portions of those bus lines, we are basically concerned about the safety of our customers and our operators, and we're only operating on the streets that we can operate on. As far as light rail is concerned right now, we're looking at about a 20 to 25-minute delay if you're riding from Patapsco to Camden because of some signal problems. If you're headed northbound, service is on time. Our Metro is also operating on time. It's been operating since about 8 o'clock this morning and has continued to be on time throughout the morning. The big question, of course, this morning is our bus service, and we'll just keep you up to date on how we continue to operate there. This is Diana Rossborough for the MTA.
All right, thanks, Diana. 12:43 now here on the TV 11 extended coverage of the blizzard of 93. Let's get the forecast in toto from Rod Roblin now.
Okay, how are you?
I don't mention Toto as in Kansas.
Yeah, no, I hope that doesn't happen with this storm. Some things of interest to let you know. It looks like Owings Mills has 12 inches of snow on the ground, and it looks like that's the most. The reports, the early reports now here on Television Hill, 10 inches of snow. As far as wind gusts so far, I want to stress, so far, wind gust in Carroll County of 69 miles per hour, and we will have 70, the way it looks, possibly even up to 80 as the other part of the storm moves on in. And now, as far as precipitation is concerned, most of us in the area, if not all of us, we're getting sleet, freezing rain, that kind of stuff. But it will change. It will change back to snow this afternoon and this evening, and even stronger winds coming our way. So get ready for it, folks. It's a mess.
Yes, sir.
It's a mess.
We're prepared.
And then you add the thunder and lightning to that we've had. So it's a very dangerous storm. And once again, we've been talking about the people at the National Weather Service. They just don't throw out phrases like this. And here's what it says from Baltimore. A powerful and dangerous winter storm continues over Maryland. If they say dangerous, you better get ready. It is dangerous, and it definitely is dangerous. Let's take a look at what's going on as far as our temperature outside is concerned. And the temperature really hadn't varied much, 30 degrees through much of the morning, and that's what it is currently here on Television Hill. When we look in the city, we have a temperature of 29 to 30 degrees, about the same when we look into the city, 29 and 31 out at the airport. Humidity 100%, still getting lots of precipitation. Winds are out of the northeast, 26, gusting up to 30 miles per hour Here at the television station, we've had wind gusts of 43 miles per hour. A blizzard warning is in effect right now from Baltimore through all of us in the viewing area, continuing west. You have in the southern portion of the state, you know, still part of our viewing area, in the eastern shore, winter storm warning is in effect. As far as snowfall amounts are concerned, Owings Mill just got a report of 12, Ellicott City of around 11 and a half, 10 inches here at the television station, 7 inches of snow on the ground at BWI, Parkton 10 inches of snow on the ground. Now then, before the storm is finished, and that should happen as far as precipitation is concerned around noon tomorrow. Look for 6 to 12 on the ground, the eastern shore. I look for 12 to 18 on the ground in the Baltimore metropolitan area. We already have 10 on the ground, so it looks like we'll hit 12 to 18 inches of snow on the ground. Further to our west, 18 to 24, and when you move out in the western portion of the state, look for 24 to 36 inches of snow on the ground. Now then, we want to take a look at the live radar to show you what's going on there, and we've just had solid precipitation all metropolitan area right now. You'll hear some thunder, and if you're outside,
cause real problems. Sub for Syracuse, Syock comes in. There's the three.
Coverage of the because that ice crust is going to keep that snow from blowing back on the road. So it could be kind of a blessing in disguise that we're getting the freezing rain and the light shower activity now. So, you know, maybe we've paid all the bills and said all our prayers.
We will be on every single hour throughout the night, of course, with the special report after the second game of the ACC tournament, a half-hour report then, and then 11 o'clock is going to be a time when you really want to be watching. We, of course, will be on every hour through the night until 11 o'clock, but the 11 o'clock news you'll really want to watch, especially the situation, as Andy Barth said, in Ocean City, where high tides are expected at 11 o'clock, and the storm will continue to intensify.
That's right. By 11 o'clock, we ought to have some real howling winds out there, and again, hopefully that this little ice crust that we're getting right now just may save us a lot of problems. The only problem is that what is now becoming liquid is going to be refreezing because the temperature is going to be going down way below zero. And if you're going to be outside this evening, be very careful of wind chill factors. The wind chill factor is going to be down about 21 below zero.
You know, the real good thing that we've failed to mention, we really should, that we're blessed by the fact that there have been no injuries reported in this storm.
Well, people knew this thing was coming for a long time, so, you know, you've had time to prepare.
All the crews have done a great job throughout the city and the entire area.
Kudos to all of our camera guys. They're out in this mess, and they've been out in it since, you know, 4 o'clock.
And this is the key lane. Back in about an hour, we send you back now to Charlotte, North Carolina, and we continue the doubleheader of the ACC basketball.
East Coast.
From ABC News, World News.
And tomorrow. In 88, have meteorologists seen anything like the blizzard of '93? The worst storm of this century caused death and destruction, closed airports in cities up and down the eastern United States, knocked out electricity, caused hundreds of accidents, and untold property damage. The killer storm is following a path of destruction along the East Coast from the Florida Keys to the state of Maine. Emergencies have been declared in almost every state affected. Among those hardest hit, Florida, where 50 tornadoes touched down, leaving 13 people dead and 2 million without power. Alabama, a record 15 inches of snow, closed roads throughout the state. Georgia and South Carolina report up to a foot of snow and wind gusts up to 70 miles an hour. Tennessee has 21 inches of snow and thousands of stranded motorists. Coastal areas in North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, and New York all reporting gale force winds, floods, and beach erosion. And for some areas of the Northeast, the worst is yet to come. We have several reports beginning with Jim Wooten in Florida.
The massive storm slashed across Florida with devastating fury. Tornadoes and gale force winds killed at least 12 people across the state, including one in Hampstead, where Hurricane Andrew struck just last summer. It snowed in Tallahassee, and thousands in North and Central Florida are still without power, facing another freezing night.
As of 8 a.m. this morning, I declared a state of emergency in 17 counties.
Governor Childs activated his state's National Guard to evacuate thousands from low-lying Gulf coastal areas, and Air Force helicopters rescued stranded stragglers in Hernando Beach, where tidal surges washed deep inland this morning. When the first high tide swept in early this morning, this whole area was under 4 to 5 feet of water. When the next one hits a little later today, driven by these winds, the flood level is expected to be even higher than that. This woman's 8-year-old daughter spent the night in Bayport with friends. Now she's missing.
We brought our boats. We got 2 boats down here, and they won't let us go through to help. So we don't know what to do. We're just sitting here. I'm checking all the buses as they come out. It's just scary.
In Palm Beach, a tennis stadium was collapsed by the winds. In Fort Myers, mobile homes were destroyed. Those who escaped felt lucky.
This is worse than the war I was in. It was unbelievable, the noise that I was making.
It was a storm with no name, but the grief and destruction it has left behind will not soon be forgotten by those who survived. Jim Wooten, ABC News, Tampa.
This is Al Dale in Atlanta. Everybody here knew the storm was coming, but few could have figured how bad it would be. The snow, combined with high winds, caused whiteout conditions, making driving hazardous and causing trees to fall onto power lines and through the roof of this house.
I don't think I've ever seen a storm like this.
Besides its intensity, the storm had something else unusual for this time of year: thunder.
Well, that thunder and everything, this is the worst blizzard I've been in since I was in Kansas.
Thousands of businesses failed to open, so the economic impact could be enormous. At least 150,000 homes in Georgia are without electricity tonight, and the governor has declared a state of emergency, ordering the National Guard to open armories as shelters. There were similar scenes around Asheville, North Carolina, where trees snapped under the weight of the snow. A man walking in the snow collapsed and was rushed to a hospital, a snowplow clearing the way for the ambulance. In Chattanooga, Tennessee, interstate highways became impassable as tractor-trailer rigs skidded and blocked every lane. Thousands of travelers found themselves stranded at Atlanta's airport, which closed at mid-morning. Despite the daunting temperatures, some of the hardier souls took advantage of a condition seldom seen in this town: enough snow to have fun in. Al Dale, ABC News, Atlanta.
As the fierce storm made its way northward, snow, thunder, snows, and hurricane-force winds became the major problems. For what's happening in the mid-Atlantic and northeast regions, we turn first to ABC's Chris Bury.
The storm humbled the capital and covered it in half a foot of snow. At times, the nation's great monuments were barely visible. The great institutions ground to a halt. The Smithsonian museums shut down, an occasion as rare as the national treasures that tourists had hoped to see.
Yeah, we wanted to hit the museums, and, well, everything's closed.
What do we do now?
Go back to the hotel and get a double Manhattan.
Some took it all in stride, but to keep warm in the ice and cold, the homeless had only each other. Most people hunkered down at home, including the resident of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Today, even the president played weatherman.
A lot of people will be used to seeing snows at this magnitude, and I don't want them to get careless in it because behind the snow are very, very high winds.
Those winds gusting to 70 miles an hour, and the snow crippled both National and Dulles airports. Amtrak stopped all East Coast train service south of Washington. From the capital to the coastline, the blowing snow and sleet made any travel treacherous. Snowplows could not keep up, and roads everywhere were dangerous. Near Ocean City, Maryland, hurricane-force winds whipped up 25-foot waves. Forecasters predicted still another storm and 5 inches of new snow tonight, making this the messiest March since Grover Cleveland lived here. Chris Bury, ABC News, Washington.
This is James Walker in New York. When the snow began falling around 7 this morning, the center of the storm was still over Georgia. A few hours later, Broadway lived up to its name, the Great White Way. Visibility plummeted in the swirling snow, closing the 3 major metropolitan airports. That stranded some 1,800 passengers. In New York City, though, not everyone was put out.
This is the most snow I've seen in at least 8 years.
Wow, this is amazing. I've never seen snow like this. I'm coming all the way from South America, and we're expecting sunny days.
You tired of this?
I'm tired. I'm ready for spring.
On Long Island, work crews moved tons of sand to shore up coastal barriers that had been severely weakened by a powerful December nor'easter. And where a seawall in Brooklyn had collapsed during that storm, a WABC reporter earlier today described this latest threat.
The wind is really picking up. We're actually having trouble standing along here, and the waves are picking up as well.
In New Jersey, authorities moved into coastal communities.
If you feel you need to evacuate your home,
they urged residents to leave. This happens to be the anniversary of another major storm, the blizzard of 1888. It dumped over 5 feet of snow in the east. 21 inches fell here in Central Park. But with hurricane-force winds and high tides expected to hit the New York area around midnight, the worst may still lie ahead. James Walker, ABC News, New York.
As the storm continues to churn its way up the East Coast. Joining us now from the National Weather Service Center in Camp Springs, Maryland, is Wes Junker. Wes, it's almost springtime. Why in the world are we seeing this huge winter storm?
Well, we have 2 ingredients. One, an abnormally cold air mass from Canada, and another southern stream system that's brought a lot of tropical moisture northward. They've merged together over the East Coast and have produced a massive winter storm.
Why would that cause not only snow, but these huge hurricane-force winds?
Well, anytime you have a very strong temperature contrast, you end up usually having very strong winds.
What is going to happen now? We've seen a lot of devastation, but the storm is still moving. What's likely to happen?
Well, it looks like the storm's not over for most of the cities of the East Coast from Washington northward. Washington will probably get some more snow later this evening, and northward up into New England, the storm will be very heavy through tonight into tomorrow. In fact, Albany is forecasting 1 to 3 feet of snow with drifts to 10 feet.
Now, there's been a lot of comparisons to the storm of 100 years ago, the storm of 1888. What differences are there?
Well, that one produced bigger snows over New York City than this one's going to produce. And that one probably had stronger winds, but they're both very big storms.
Thank you, Wes Junker of the National Weather Service. And we are going to continue to track the storm and bring you details as they become available. Coming up, the deepening political perils of Russia.
Through Norfolk, and there is significant damage in Norfolk. We're talking about power lines down, trees uprooted, all kinds of damage, and unfortunately, in a couple of hours, it's headed right here, right for Ocean City. We have been in the eye for the last half hour or so, so it seemed mild, but again, we're going to see some real heavy winds. So many of the people today are going to be saying, well, I survived the big blizzard of '93. Keep in mind, as we look at what did happen today, that we still have to deal with the sequel.
Like it always does, the surf is pounding Ocean City with a vengeance tonight. And like they always do when it storms, weekend beachgoers are making the best of it and enjoying the show.
I've never seen it this way before. It's pretty dramatic, I'll tell you. Unbelievable.
Why on earth are you out here?
Same
That's what they're calling for. As high as the water is right now at low tide, it's definitely going to cause some damage.
Certainly the most vulnerable beaches are in Delaware. In fact, at Bethany Beach, 2 hours after high tide, there really was no beach as the water continued to come crashing under the boardwalk. The last big storm completely knocked out this deck. Even the man who rebuilt it admits that could easily happen again tonight. What would you say to people that are in these homes tonight?
I would tell them to leave, definitely, because the last storm they had to evacuate people that were stranded in some of them. These houses, they can take the punishment, but the surroundings around them wash out.
Now, just a few minutes ago, I was told that Mayor Fishpal is sending the police up and down the boardwalk here to tell everybody to get inside tonight. No exceptions. Stay off the boardwalk. They're not being ordered to, but they're being strongly advised, and that's very important. I think the winds are going to be real strong tonight. We may be looking at 60, 70, 80 miles per hour, exactly what Tom and Rob Roblin were predicting all day long. So we're going to stick it out. We'll have more for you at 11 on the damage or whatever occurs.
All right, Frank, you all be careful. Thank you. As Tom has been saying all along, the worst part is set to hit tonight. For the very latest, we'll go over to Tom Tasselmeyer at the weather board. Tom?
Well, Carroll, it's been several days in organizing. This storm center came from all the way in the western part of the country and made its way across the nation. Two parts of the storm came together actually to form this one major system. One dropped down from Canada, the other came across from the Pacific. Both dipped into the Gulf of Mexico and really kind of piled up the moisture there. Snow spread into the lower Ohio Valley, and then over the past 24 hours or so, it's come straight out of the Gulf, grabbed onto some moisture from the Atlantic Ocean and spread snow all the way up into New England, and heaviest amounts of snows from the Piedmont sections of the mid-Atlantic region back into the mountains. So this entire area has seen snow, yes, all the way down to the Gulf Coast. Mobile, Alabama, New Orleans seeing some snow early this morning. Pensacola, Florida getting some snow. Even a few flurries showing up in parts of Florida down around Tampa and so. And so this system is not quite finished yet. The strongest winds are on the edges of it. The actual storm center now is right near where Frank Mann was, just west of Ocean City. So he's actually kind of near the calm of the storm. As it pulls away, the winds are going to intensify and colder air will be pulled down in the backside of the system. Already with the snow moving through the region, we've seen anywhere from 10 up to 17 inches coat the region. We have 10 here at the forecast center up there near Abingdon and Bel Air, 10 inches. BWI, 10 inches. Last time we had a 10-inch snowstorm back in 1987. Go out west and you find deeper amounts. Owings Mills at 15 inches, Parkton 12. Manchester, little town in the higher elevations of Carroll County with 17 inches of snow on the ground. And there's more coming up from the southwest. So as the winds increase tonight and more snow comes in, we may see the worst of this blizzard. Let's quickly check local radar, and you'll see that there's still some snow around. Temperatures are cooling off, and many folks are calling in saying it's changing back to snow now. And you notice across Virginia, you'll see radar echoes pushing up toward Washington now and coming out of Virginia. And this is the snow that will continue to spiral into Baltimore tonight. Could see anywhere from 4 up to 6 inches more on top of what you already have. We'll keep you posted all night. More details on the forecast coming up later.
All right. Thank you, Tom. As we've said, a blizzard warning remains in effect for our area tonight. We go to Lila Orabach now, who joins us live from Pikesville with the very latest on the roads. Lila, how do they look?
Well, County reports of heavy drifting, severe visibility problems. That's why the State Highway Administration is emphasizing, and we can't say it enough, if you don't have to drive tonight, don't. Even if it's an emergency, call 911. Visibility is very poor. And if you can't see, you can't drive. They say driving today can be hazardous to your life. Visibility is now down to 0 in some places, no more than 100 yards at best. Between the visibility, the drifting, and the snow that's only now beginning to fall, the Highway Administration went ahead and closed I-70 from Frederick to Hancock and I-68 from Hancock to West Virginia. In Harford County, Maryland Route 136 is closed between Maryland 165 and Maryland Route 624. There are periodic lane closures due to stranded vehicles and accidents.
We're continuing to urge everyone to remain indoors. Conditions outside remain life-threatening. If you are traveling and you become stranded, remain in your vehicle until assistance arrives. If you are home and have a need for emergency assistance, contact 911 immediately and we will get assistance to you.
Even four-wheel drive vehicles and the drivers who claim they're pros at it should stay home tonight. It's so bad in some areas that even the plows are getting pulled off the roads due to the poor visibility. The city of Baltimore has gone into phase 2 of its snow emergency plan. Bottom line, if your car is parked in a designated snow emergency route, you better move it or somebody's going to move it for you. Again, Carolyn, phase 2 of Baltimore City's snow emergency plan.
Well, I know I can personally say even with four-wheel drive, it's hard to get around out there. Is there very much traffic out tonight?
Luckily, there is not. Most people are heeding the calls of the emergency personnel. We do see a lot of four-wheel drive vehicles out, but even they are being warned, stay off the roads unless you absolutely have to. And even then, again, you really should try to call 911.
All right, good advice. Thanks a lot, Lila. We have much more to tell you about with this mega snowstorm. We'll continue our team coverage.
Outer wall collapsed in the December 11th, 12th, and 13th storm.
For the most part, no new major damage in Dewey, but some buildings that were shaky before today got a little worse.
We have a place down here and came to make sure it's all in one piece.
Is it all in one piece?
Yep, thankfully.
Power crews moved in, and people ventured out, particularly along Rehoboth's boardwalk.
We had a lot of water coming through the fireplace and just the windows rattling. We don't have any power. We haven't had any electric for about 4 hours now. So we just came out to warm up, actually, in the car. It's getting kind of cold in the house.
For the most part, no major flooding, just some very large puddles, like this low-lying area in Bethany. Some shelters were opened in Maryland and Delaware. Have winds from the northwest or the northeast.
And then, Dave, one more question. Are people who've been working on this all day long taking a little rest in this lull? It
was very treacherous going. Still, a few people did venture out. Our Frank Graff was one of them.
Some people refuse to let snow stand in the way of a convertible's fun and freedom. For others, the snow provided a chance to break out winter toys gathering dust in snowless winters past.
It's fun. My daughter and myself are out. We went to get a newspaper and stopped at the farm store and went down to St. Paul's School and just cruised around.
But for the most part, the worst blizzard in a decade shut down Baltimore County. Roads were left to walkers, four-wheel drive vehicles, and massive snowplow caravans trying to keep up.
I've been out since 3 a.m.
How's it going?
It's bad. It's hard to keep up with.
Some made it to work and made the most of the snowstorm.
What do they buy in a snowstorm?
Milk, eggs, bread, toilet paper. Lots of toilet paper.
Baltimore County budgeted $1 million for snow removal this year. They're down to the last $150,000, but each snow costs about $200,000 to clear up. County officials say regardless of the cost, they'll take care of citizens.
Normally when it's this bad, we sit and wait in a position where we can see what's going on. If we get an emergency call or something that we have to respond to, we'll go as...
In Timonium, Frank Graff, WBAL TV 11 News.
All right, we're going back to see if our BG&E spokesman is here. Do we have him now on the phone?
Yes, hello, Carroll.
We don't have him. All right, Tom Tasselmeyer is right here, the guy who's been... How long have you been...
It's been bombarding the entire East Coast, and unfortunately, it's turned out to be a deadly storm. It's being blamed for at least 12 deaths, 10 of them in the tornado-ravaged areas of Florida. And heading up the coast, this is what it looked like when the snow hit Albany, New York. There's the coastal areas. It looks like that's not quite Albany, but that's the coastal areas near New York. The Big Apple up in New York City recording 11 inches of snow up around that area. That's somewhere along the coast where we've been reporting high winds and waves, and even the Maryland coastal areas are still in for some higher than normal tides. Perhaps the rain go back to snow late tonight and tomorrow morning, so they may get another couple inches of snow. The real whopper, though, will be out in Garrett County as usual. They'll be measuring it with the feet, 24 to 36 inches, 2 to 3 feet expected at McHenry by noon tomorrow. And they may not be finished with it then because they're going to get into some lake effect snow. I wouldn't be surprised if some parts of Garrett County check in sometime by the time spring starts with about 4 feet of snow on the ground there. It may snow forever out in Garrett County. And in fact, we've already got some readings in this area that are getting pretty high. So stay with us tonight. We may have to up the totals here if we see that the snow coming in gets a little stronger. Our northwest winds, the cold with snow early tomorrow morning, but it'll clear out in the afternoon. Temperatures will struggle to get to 30 as the winds slowly die down. And finally, by Monday, we'll put this storm behind us with a partly cloudy sky. You see what's wrong with that? Sunday, Tuesday. We just won't even talk about Monday. Partly cloudy on Wednesday, then some rain showers toward the end of the week. Who cares about Monday? We got to get through tonight. Carol?
I suspect a lot of people are going to lose.
Now, photographer Wayne Buttrow, technician Fred Eichenberg, and myself really put life and limb on the line for this one. We came to the weather equivalent of the Twilight Zone. During an event like this, we're on a side street. Oh, you could imagine. It is absolutely still out here. Other than an occasional remnant of yesterday's grocery shopping blowing by, there is just absolute peace and tranquility. I got news for you. As you heard Dr. Bob talk about, we're not going to be able to start digging out what is actually the vast majority of our viewing area, the side streets, probably until at least tomorrow afternoon, and that's dealing with the blowing and drifting snow. A few minutes ago, come on in for a second, Dave Adler's going to join me. I saw a Jeep pull up. We are on a side street. Dave was visiting a sister over here. You're a partner with Advanced Landscape Services. You guys have been out plowing for the first time in years. You've been able to use that equipment. How much you done today?
Probably be easiest to tell you in acres. Probably about 12 to 15 acres.
12 to
Wow, boy, look at that blowing out of the north. Oh man, I can't hardly hold the door open.
And we're getting backslapped late tonight. And good evening again, everyone, and thanks for continuing coverage of the...
More snow coming down tonight, and the winds are picking up.
That means a lot of dangerous driving conditions, the potential for more power outages, and a long night ahead for road crews. Let's go to Dr. Bob now for the latest out there. Bob?
Well, Pat, actually, we did have some snow earlier in the evening, but the snow is tapering off. And I don't think snow is going to be a real important part of the overnight forecast. The winds, however, picking up, and they're real noticeable. I'm a little winded myself from all the excitement. But as things start to move here, we'll give you a little bit of a feel for the changing pattern during the evening hours. And notice the storm clouds having moved on out of the area. And this low pressure center now up over New Jersey, sweeping those northwest winds into the region. Now, we did get a lot of calls about some lights, some strange lights in the sky over in the Essex area. And the Baltimore County Police tell us that it was a result of Amtrak trains going through. Now, a combination of ice on the lines and the speed of the trains looks like an electrical spark that you all saw, those blue lights. So we'll give you the full forecast when I catch my breath in just a minute. Right now, Rich, take it away.
The problem is down around the eastern shore, and then they'll work their way back inland. 9 o'clock this evening, Governor Schaefer declared a state of emergency, saying that the conditions on the roadways are life-threatening, and indeed they are very dangerous. I can attest to that. Just getting here was an icy, slippery mess, a very slow drive. Not that people really want to be outside anyway, but without the help of some very brave and generous people, it would be hard for many folks to stay inside tonight and be warm and safe and dry and healthy.
Of the day, and serious beach erosion and threats to the boardwalk and low-lying structures looked like a real possibility until the winds abruptly calmed down. Storm surf, however, is still high, and the next high tide is currently underway. From where I am, I can see waves well up the beach, right at the edge of the protective sand dunes that separate the sea from Ocean City. Officials here expect...
Prince got stuck there, forcing promoters to cancel his concert tonight. Moving around New York City was nearly impossible. Airports were closed. Commuter trains and buses shut down. All interstates were also closed in Pennsylvania. In fact, major highways were closed from North Carolina to the state of Maine. The blizzard has also stranded lots of passengers at BWI Airport
before this is all said and done. Rapidly rising barometer, 28.66 inches of mercury, and it was, incidentally, a record low pressure, all-time record. There are your next high tides, actually low and high tides at Fort McHenry. Sunrise on Sunday morning, 6:20, sunset at 6:12, and we'll have all the details. Woo, winding down this storm when we come back.
drifting. Big drifts. That's a boy. You stay here, okay? Really crunchy. Big mounds of snow that they pushed up with a front end loader. Walk on top of it. Look at Quasar walking on it.
Look, I'm walking on it.
Yeah. Call Quasar.
What?
Call Quasar.
What?
Call Quasar.
Come here, Quasar. Give me your Quasar. Come here. Come here.
Sun's trying to come through. See, it won't be until later on today. What you got on, Justin? Huh? What you got on? A big diaper?
Stop filming!
Well, let me get a picture. Let me get a picture of you sliding down there. Shoo-wee. Wind's still blowing cold. Okay. Hey. Come on, Justin, slide down.
Daddy!
No, don't throw ice balls. Golly days, that thing's hard as a rock.
Daddy! I want to have a snowball battle. No.
We're gonna...
You don't hold it in. You just push it, okay? I got it.
Does it say record?
Yeah. I'll show you the one I showed you.
$9,149 after cashback, excluding tax and options. Come on, get a hold of a Dakota at your nearby Dodge dealer today. Their music has spanned generations.
No. It hasn't been cold enough, Justin. This year, we haven't had the cold temperatures like we normally have.
Go on the left side. I want to see it now.
There's a driveway. Get up in front of it.
Let me go see how deep it is. Stop.
No.
I want to see how deep it is. Stop.
Probably some smaller houses, one-story houses you could have. There wasn't any like that, Justin, where you could just walk up to a house.
Got the E flashing.
Really?
Yeah.
Battery's going dead already.
Stop! I want to look.
Yeah, it sure is, Justin. Did a lot of drifting. And we're not going to go through that because I don't want to have to dig it out. I'm still saying it.
Stand by. Oh, there you go, Justin.
This is Main Street 93. We just had a horrible storm. Some of the drifts are more than 5 feet high.
That's a big plow.
Go ahead.
This is my school, all snowed in. Plow hasn't touched this place. I don't know if we're gonna have school tomorrow. I hope we don't.
How come the picture's blurry? Do you have an automatic focus?
Yeah, but
Why'd you do that?
because it's picking up the window and it's adjusting itself to the distance between the camera and the window.
Let's go to
See, it's not even frozen that hard in the center, Justin. Matter of fact, look, it's not frozen right here.
Wouldn't want to be up fish in that water.
No. Turn around right here.
Low should be in the teens, winds westerly at 15 miles an hour, and tomorrow mostly sunny, highs near 40, winds becoming southerly at 10 miles an hour. Presently in the city under partly cloudy skies.